Right, so that was the wrestling budget. Moving on from there, we have the football budget, and they were not up for uniforms, but their cost was pretty steep. And I mean that's because of the number of participants you will have in a football program, um, as the main reason for that, and coaches. So, looking at the budget that the football program was approved of, they were approved for $7,200. They came in a little under that, so that's a good thing. Looking at what was approved, you have the game footballs, and you got to replace those every year. A locker room towel, helmet decals, and mouth guards. That's a safety issue in football. That is definitely on this list. And huddle is a big. I understand it's a big recruiting, not recruiting, big way that coaches use to scout and development issues. So that was approved. Um, more helmet decals, and then the reconditioning of football helmets. That's the number one thing that is on this list. This should be the first thing on this list, and it was the first thing on my list. I had to make sure that our helmets, and really our shoulder pads too, and I don't see that on here, is they go out and get reconditioned to make sure that they're all workable and safe. So, and then he ordered 10 uh, new helmets, and I understand that. So those are probably the three things that were the biggest things on the football budget this year. Moving on, we have boys volleyball, and their budget was $3,000. As you can see, that it was 2,000. They came under, slightly under, $2,969. They were up for jerseys and uniforms this year, and so you can see the jerseys and shorts right there. Volleyballs is an absolute necessity for this sport, and that was approved. The game volleyballs, two of them, that was approved. Should have been higher up on this priority list, in my opinion. Um, and some training things. Not all of their training items that was requested was approved, but they did get some training items to work with this year, such as the bungee blocker and the spike mat volleyball trainer. And then they got the athletic tape that they requested, which is a great thing. It helps out the athletic trainer with the rolls of tape. So this is what was approved from the boys volleyball team. Next, we have girls tennis, and their budget was $1,000. They went over by 16 bucks. Um, the what was on their list, and they were approved of uniforms as well, 12 of them, and it's not that many people in tennis, so their uniform cost is definitely a different uniform cost compared to like a football program. Uh, Backpacks they were approved of. The ball hopper they were approved of as well. 60-pack tennis ball set. That's probably one of the highest priority on this list. And then the tack over grip they were approved of. If I had to cut something because they didn't, like I said, they were over $16. I could cut one of the backpacks, or the ball hopper. I can cut one of those. So there are some things that I could cut if they didn't have that $16 in their fundraising account. Field hockey, um, their budget was $3,200. So they were $136. They had $136 left in their budget. They was approved of a high ticket item, the Jugs Field hockey machine, $1,500, and the huddle video coordination program was approved as well. The rebounder, um, I did cut some of their lowest priority um, items on their list. I cut a few of those to get them under their budget, but this was approved this year. So that's the field hockey program. Moving on to baseball. Baseball's budget was $3,000, and what they were approved of this year was the practice balls, the game balls, and those are probably the two big things you need. They wanted some bats. Bats were a little expensive. I did decide to approve them because it was in the budget. Um, and I understand most players have their bats, but I would assume these are for the coaches during practice. So I approve those. The hats, I approve those as well. Just new hats. Catcher mitts, catcher gear. These are two items that players can buy, but since they had room in the budget, it was approved. And then they wanted 10 new helmets. That was allowed as well. And then a pitching machine was another item that was approved, mainly because they requested it and it was room in their budget for it. So moving on, girls volleyball team. They were approved of a $3,000 budget. They spent $2,600. They had the most money left at $384. Here's their budget. Huddle was approved. Game balls is obviously again one of the big things in volleyball, highest priority. They requested some banners. Those were approved. A ball cart and some knee pads. These pink out shirts, camp t-shirts, and game shirts. These are all items that you could have the players pay for that would cut that cost. But since it's since there's room in the budget for it, I went ahead and approved all of them. But on when they are up for uniforms, you know, I can see that if they request camp shirts or game shirts, t-shirts, those won't be approved the year they're up for uniforms, and they're gonna have to find a different way to get those items. Girls soccer was up next, and their budget was $2,800. They went over by $16. Jerseys, they were up for jerseys this year, so they were approved those, and then the shorts as well as part of the uniform, and the numeral 10, I believe, is a part of the uniform as well. So really, the field striper is the only thing that they were approved of other than their uniforms. Girls swimming, you have here, and it's $2,800 was the budget, and they came in slightly under that. And as you can see here, they were approved of swimsuits, warm-up pant and jacket, and adult swim cap. That's all part of the uniform. So the swimming team was another team that was up this year for uniforms. They also was approved of head snorkels as well as paddles, and it all came under their budget. So that's a good thing. Marching band was approved. Let's look at their budget first. The marching band's budget was $2,800. They went over by $89. And here's what they were approved of. The one thing that I left off their list was the shoes. I feel like the band members can get their own shoes. So that saved cut a